Oh, the dreaded transition from a down dog or three-legged dog to stepping forward. So my first question is, and none of these questions are meant to be inflammatory, but always kind of ask yourself when you're really aching to be able to do something. I always ask myself, is it necessary? Is it necessary that I learn to be able to do this? And if the motivation is, well, yeah, I have to because I teach it in every class I take, or, well, yeah, I have to because that's part of a sun salutation, then um, just consider that it may not be a healthy thing for your body, or that it may not be something to aspire to just for the sake of not wanting to take the time to change it or to even consider if it's healthy for you. I'm just throwing that out there as I give you a little tutorial. So, I'm going to grab blocks, and that's going to be my main thing here, the only prop that I really use. So, one of the issues with traditional down dog to stepping forward is that the limbs are generally stretched out, locked out, and there's no real capacity to fit your leg in your, up here. You either have large legs or short arms or breasts or all of the above. So, I want to invite the idea that you need to change the transition, and first we're going to start in cat-cow to do that. And so the breath is going to be pretty detailed here, and you can take what you want with it. If you're used to my classes, this won't be a big deal. If you're not, then have fun. So as you inhale through the cat-cow, I work with the bent limbs a lot of the time here. Inhaling, elbows back. Exhaling, lifting and hugging. Inhale down the spine to the tip of the tailbone. Wag your tail. And then exhale, feel the muscles in front of the tailbone, front of the sacrum, front of the lumbar, and then lift the ribs up and back. Maybe you don't take a full flexion of the upper spine, or maybe you do. Taking a full flexion of the upper spine, once all the other muscles in the front of the spine are coordinated, will be a pretty good key to getting your leg through when we get there. Also, consider using finger pads. I love the finger pad. I use it a lot. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So gecko hands here. You can use one at a time. So let's say your right leg was going through. You might give yourself a little lift with the finger pad. Right? There's a bunny here. The bunny, he's like, hey, at least you guys can actually fit your leg through your arms. It's not something he can do. Good. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. Because in order to do this in a down dog, you need some strength. And if the strength isn't quite present to do this in down dog, inhale, bend the knees forward, let the sit bones widen, let the elbows are bending a little back, not out. This is chicken wings with unstable shoulders. This is hugged in, and I've got little arches in my armpits. They're hollowing out. Inhale, stretch, and then exhale, down. Inhale, widen the sit bones, and then exhale, draw in and up, bend. Now you can also inhale and bend, and then as you exhale, feel that cat-cow motion as you come to what I call a turbo dog or a mountain dog. Inhale, bend. Exhale. It starts from the feet, the inner thighs, the front of the belly, the front of the ribs. Come forward a bit. Mountain dog. This is how you get that big leg to fit through your arms. Everybody has big legs. In comparison to their torso, both legs are about half the weight of your body. There's a lot going on there. Okay, some of you might need a break. I could keep going. So to be able to do about 5 of these, you'll notice that as I exhale, I start to widen the upper inner thighs. I pull the low belly in. There's a whole lot of pelvic floor work. The ribs are coming in. I feel a spreading of the shoulder blades. You might need a break by now. That's part 2. Now, consider the gecko hands. So it's like you're pulling the arches of your hands, right? They're like little bandhas in a way. And so as you exhale, there's this hugging in, up and in. Pelvic floor draws up. Then you've got your little Uddiyana Bandha up under ribs. And then you got these two, like you're retracting claws. Your feet also work reciprocally. So let's take the right leg, okay? Think about this. Inhale, bending down. And then as you exhale, draw the low belly in. Feel the right knee come up as high as the armpit. Round the upper spine. Swing your shin forward. There, I have stepped to my wrist. All is well. I can scoot my back foot a little bit. And there I am. I can find my hugging, my lifting, my widening in the back. I can come up. Now my head's been cut off. It's all good. Okay. Am I saying that's easy? No. Let's try it another way. I know that I'm going to lift my right leg up. So I'm going to inhale, bend. And then I'm going to take a little Hasta Bandha here. Gives me a little bit uneven in the shoulders, of course, a little bit in the hips. But it feels okay for my body. Especially if you have that nice hollowing in of both armpits. And then you have a little extra room, right? It gives me about 3 or 4 inches. Let's try this. Inhale, bend. Exhale, almost like you're going to do that, except you're still going to roll the belly and take the right leg to the sky, one limb at a time. Do not stretch it out straight. I'm going to repeat that for you. Inhale, bend. Now listen, I know you can't really see my leg right now, but if I do this from fully extended, elongated limbs, my leg goes about that high. I got a huge stretch in the back of my cat. Actually, it's in the back of my left knee. Not my favorite place to get a stretch. Okay, let's try this a different way. Inhale, bend. Get nice and bouncy into the earth. And then as I exhale, I'm going to find the arches of my feet. I'm going to spread the sit bones wide. And then I'm going to take the leg up. Ah, look how much higher that goes. Hips are square too. Feels good. And then from here, I'm going to grab a little momentum. So take a breath in. And then exhale like a little dive bomber. Taking it up. Swinging the shin. Coming forward. Now my hips do a little bit of back and forth, but that's fine. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't mess with my body, and I'm totally supported in the front of my spine. So whatever's going on is going on with support. Okay? And I can step my leg even further. Let's say the left leg. So inhale. Draw the belly in. Feel all the rolling. This is basically like cat-cow. Stepping back. All right, let's try it with the lifted hand. Inhale. Like a cat pose. Stepping forward. And come back. With the lift of that leg. Ready? So again, and this leg will go a little higher, usually. Let's do the totally straightened out legs. Lift. This leg always goes a little higher. I'm going to square the hips. All right, you can see my thigh. I can see my thigh. Feel a huge stretch in kind of uncomfortable places on my right leg. Okay, let's try again. Inhale, bend. Gather up some energy from the earth. We're making spaces in the joints here. All right, and then to exhale. That's a lot higher. Yeah, it's a lot higher. Okay, and then from here, Same thing, as you dive bomb, you throw your belly up and back, pull in, and I'm going a lot slower than you really have to go. I've heard before in some classes about stepping forward, and they say don't use momentum. And I say, if used correctly, momentum is healthy. So, what's the typical cue here? Inhale, exhale. Yeah, it's fun. Not so much fun, actually. So what we're trying to do here is keep a nice, soft start. We extend to finish. Exhale, come in. And then if you hug all the muscles from the tip of their pubic bone up to your ribs, you can get your hips stay so much higher than your shoulders. And you can pull it through. And what if you use momentum? Mindful momentum. Mindful, not just swinging yourself forward and hoping for the best. The end result will happen without your effort. Inhale, exhale, and then as you exhale, you're pulling the muscles in the front of the spine. You're hugging everything in. Okay, let's do this one more time. You can do it a little faster. Inhale, bend. Exhale, lengthen. Take a breath here, and then exhale, dive bomb, hug your elbows in. You're welcome to take some momentum. I don't know if you've noticed, but my hips have not gone lower than my shoulders unless I specifically aim to show you. Okay? And in fact, my shoulders didn't even go over my wrists until my foot was down. Boom. If I do that the traditional way on this side, and I tell you, swing your shoulders forward. I don't want to swing my shoulders forward. Can't do it. And then I see a bunch of this, picking up and going. So, don't do that. That can't be good for your shoulders. Can't be good for your low back. It's okay. Sometimes we get into survival mode and we just do what we have to keep up with the class. So I go to a vinyasa class. Doesn't happen often, but if I do, I don't listen, not in a disrespectful way, but I do those sun salutations in the way that I've learned, both figured out because of just biomechanics in general, and then learned specifically from a couple of teachers. So all else fails, and you're still working on that strength of being able to find the cat-cow and the mountain dog, just use blocks. Really, it's okay. I've had people use blocks throughout the entire class. You still want to get that sense of gathering, but if you're having a hard time, like a lot of people, they can pretty much get the idea of the pelvic floor for the most part, or they skip that part. But what I see a lot of people struggle with is once they get to the Uddiyana Bandha, or right about where the bottom of the rib cage is, like I'll see a lot of like, oh, that looks good, and then rib cage comes out. And they're like, but I did it. Isn't it supposed to work? And it's okay. Remember, yoga is training the body for more sensitivity. Like, you could take your whole leg through there if you wanted to with the block. But it's okay to have those blocks handy and be constantly pulling them in, you know, and then taking them out. Pulling them in, taking them out, okay? Know how to manage your yoga practice, and always know that you're not trying to fit into the yoga, right? The yoga is supposed to be the study of awareness, so you know where the yoga fits into you. It's not a rigid thing. I've never thought it was a rigid thing. My very first teachers could sound like taskmasters, but when it came down to it, I always knew, and the people I trained with always knew that the biggest teacher was us. These were teachers that came from some fairly strict styles, and yet they still imparted on us that here are some rules, or here are some body positions that we feel are good, but this is not This is not your Bible. This is not the rules for everyone. And to be honest, um, to chase a pose at the expense of your own body, which I've done not knowing I was doing it until I did it, just isn't fun. So if that stepping forward stuff isn't making you happy, or you're having a hard time figuring out how to do it, or it's just not going to work, you know you need to build the strength. You need to build up that mountain dog and down dog in general, and getting the armpits to hug in and everything, then don't do it. I don't even teach a ton of it. When I do my vinyasa classes, we might do 1, 2, or 3 every day. I do a lot of balancing on one leg and stepping back, and a little bit of stepping forward. I prefer the stepping back. I feel like there's a safety in it for most people. And I like to teach jumping forward symmetrically, because jumping is good, and we don't do a lot of that in yoga classes. And I think a little bit of jumping, like you have to be jumping all over the place. You know, you got to have a little stress on the bones there to get a little bone density. So anyways, that's my little tutorial for you. I would love to take anyone, you know, one-on-one or two-on-one or whatever, to help you guys figure out some in-between steps. I don't know your bodies. I don't know what you can and can't do. I don't know the pathologies and the injuries. I can just tell you that being able to open the joint spaces and be soft and move from the center outward has helped me stay in a strong practice, which I enjoy 2 or 3 times a week, and not only not injure myself more, but I like healed parts of me that weren't healing, which is a really, really nice thing. And although these days I tend more towards long holds and long periods of sitting and meditating, really, that's just what I've been gravitating towards. The strong practice, 1 or 2 days a week, I enjoy, and this is how I teach it. I cannot teach what it does not work for me, and what I know biomechanically has many advantages for most of the human bodies out there. So if you feel like your body doesn't fit into some of the classes that you're doing, feel free to put in your own modifications. I don't know any teacher that would really get too ticked off about that, or find different styles, or ask about different styles, explore different teachers. If you go to me a lot, explore other teachers. Always have different perspectives and points of view. So that's all that I really have to say. So again, ask yourself, like, why do I feel the need to do this? Is it like a competitive thing? Is it because I want to keep up with the teacher or other people in the class thing? Is it really because you feel like, I know my body can do this, and I know it will be good for it once I can figure it out? And there's no right or wrong answer either. If it's competitive and you're okay with that, and that's just what you're after, and you think that you should cultivate more competitiveness in your life, if you like whatever that brings you, then I would say, okay, that's fine. Let's just find a way to do it safely, and so you're not forcing, and you're not jamming, and you're not jerking the body. If you feel like it really is going to bring you some sort of happiness, although I will say, no matter how many poses you learn, you're pretty much always the same person, unless you're working on things outside of your physical strength and mobility. But if you really are going to feel empowered to step forward like that, it's going to feel really good when you can do it one day without having to make any adjustments. And that's fine too. I don't think there's right or wrong answers, but I think it is good to consider why. And the whys will probably change over time, and that's usually a good thing, right? So anyways, have a wonderful day. See ya. So we're just showing a couple of variations here from what we already went over. In this one, the foot may or may not step forward while it's still bent or straight, but you can scoot the back foot. That's certainly less injurious and easier to do than scooting the front foot. The next one here, you step forward, the bent leg stays bent in front, and then the hips go down after the foot comes forward, and you step down with the heel first instead of your toes. And then on this one here, the leg comes a little bit out to the side to come in, and that can often be good for bypassing bellies and breasts